Why it's important to build trust? Because, when you have trust in the system, investors come and invest in the country. They create this 100 billion GDP growth that Mr. Obegi is talking about. Nobody will create. We cannot create. We managed to create 55. And we managed to do it because there was financial engineering, it was thriving, it was growing, it was artificial, sorry to say that. Not only the assets were wrongly managed, but it was also artificial to reach the 55. I agree with Dr. Obegi. It should have been an economy of 100 billion, not 55. Now we are at 22 or 18, whatever the number. Okay, so when I look at the plan, so I'm going back to the plan, because we are discussing the plan, not the economy. We'll discuss it at the end, maybe a view on the economy. When I come back to the plan, I compare it to the other plans that the government has done. At the end, there is a haircut. If I look at the plan of the government, I'm going to do a quick comparison. Okay? The plan of the government is saying, guys, the government owes money to the central bank. The central bank owes a big number of money to the banks. The banks owes money to their depositors. And because nobody has the money, the banks cannot pay the depositors. What was the proposal of the plan of the government? Is to cut the link between the central bank and the banks. Okay, page 9, clause 24.1 in the plan. Okay, I'm not inventing anything. By cutting the relation between the central bank and the bank will make a loss of $80 billion because the central bank will not pay back the banks. It's like the state doing default on the Eurobond, the central bank is doing default on the banks. If I'm wrong, let someone correct me. So by doing this, the banks will go bankrupt, and depositor will lose their money. So there is a haircut at the top. In the plan of Harvard, it's trickier. What's happening is they are saying, today we have 90 billion of money in the banks for depositors. Okay? So we need to solve this problem because we need to bring back the money, the liquidity to the system. What they are saying, up to 150,000, they will pay the deposit. I don't know how, by the way. I'm not sure it will, because the plan doesn't confirm it's 100. It's estimation, and many times they use the word estimation. Okay? 150,000, which is $30 billion. I don't know how they're going to bring it. Anyway. But the big depositors, okay, they will give them certificate, as it was said, certificates. The state will exchange, they will do a swap between their deposit from the balance sheet of the banks against certificate guaranteed by the state. And what will happen? The balance sheet of the bank will feel better. The banks will survive. Okay? The central bank will not have any problem, will survive. The state will give you a paper like this one, an IOU paper, IOU money, like they give you paper for Eurobonds. And the debt will be between the state and the depositors. The bank will escape from any accountability. And this is, there are good banks and there are bad banks, sorry to say that, okay? There are banks who, made the problem and played the wrong game with the financial. There are banks where the result on them was wrong. Okay, I'm not going to put names here. We have good banks with us. And here what's happening? The state will own this certificate to the depositor. Okay, but there will be no accountability on the banks, no accountability on the central bank, no accountability on the state. Okay? There will be no lesson learned for not redoing the same mistake. Okay? We turn the page and we run again. There will be no restructuring in governance of the central bank and the monetary policy, which was the main problem of the economic crisis, and the risk that the bank took without thinking one time about the depositors. I'm sorry to say that. Maybe people will not be happy.
But Nicolas, that's a question.
Let me finish. And what will happen at the end? Okay? Okay? Everybody is happy. The state will say, I take the debt with me. I take the Eurobond debt. I take the IMF debt. So 90 billion, 80 billion, let's say, plus 30 billion of Eurobond, 110 billion, plus 4 or 5 billion debt of IMF debt, okay? And it was $115 billion. GDP is 20 billion. Debt over GDP is 600%, 700%. Not sustainable. The report reached to a conclusion that what they are proposing is not sustainable. Hence, the state needs to restructure this huge debt and do a haircut of 80%. So, what are we doing? We are just joking and laughing on depositors and on creating trust in the system. Instead of haircutting on the top, they are haircutting on the bottom, and they are letting the people who made the mistake in the system getting out of it.
But
and
Nicolas,
this is a big problem for me.
Nicolas,
and I'm happy
Nicolas,
to ensure that they are...
Before you continue, there's
Yes.
a very important question. I think the audience should be asking themselves the same question. Why did banks deposit their money at the central bank? I think, Dr. Riad, maybe you can answer this question.
Maybe you can answer. This is an important question.
Yes, it's a very important question, and I think that you are not the only one who is asking. So, first of all, yes, you are laughing. You have to understand what is a central bank. In any country in the world, all the banks are subject to the local central bank, everywhere. This is how it is done. And why? Why is it so? Because everywhere in the world, they consider that the banking activity is almost a public service. So, let us say you have put your money in a bank. Well, I'm not going to say in Lebanon. We consider that Lebanon is all wrong. Let us say you put your money. What is the best country in the world, in your opinion? What is the best country? Switzerland. If the Central Bank of Switzerland sends a letter, just a letter, without any control from anybody, a letter to the banks in Switzerland saying, in 1 month's time, you'll put all your money with me. You think that the banks can refuse? They cannot refuse. This is a simple letter, but they can do it also in another way. They can send another letter saying, obligatory reserves are now, like it was in Lebanon, 15%. You think that any bank can refuse? No. A central bank. Sorry?
They can refuse. Not no excuse.
No, they cannot
Not no
refuse.
excuse. You can always come out of it.
No.
Yes, you can.
No, you
Tell
can.
us at the bank,
John, maybe we can have this discussion.